Hey y'all, I'm Karen Mayer Cunningham, the special education boss. If you've ever felt confused, overwhelmed, or just plain frustrated at the 504 IEP table, you are in the right place. Every week, I'm breaking down the rules, the rights, and the realities of special education so you can walk into meetings informed, empowered, and ready to make real change. And whether you're a parent, a teacher, an advocate, a school-based member, or somebody who's just trying to do right by a student, this podcast gives you straight talk, real answers, and tools that you can use immediately. I'm not here to play politics. I'm not here to play sides. I'm here to train people who sit at the table and teach you how to follow the law, ask the right questions, and protect the rights of students. So go ahead and hit subscribe, share this with a friend, and you know what? Meet me back here every single week. We're not just talking about change. We're making it. Because when you know better, you do better. And when we get it right for the child, we get it right for everybody. Yeah. All right. So we're going to answer your questions. We're back, Special Education Boss, and we are here to answer your questions about special education and IEPs. I do want to say, since it's August and it's back to being 4 million degrees, we really want to remember what we need to call an IEP meeting for. We call an IEP meeting because we need to look at their individualized education program, not because you don't like Bob Jones, the algebra teacher, not because your daughter is in a class with the wrong, violin teacher, not because you got assigned the wrong, PE teacher in 4th grade. That's not what we have an IEP meeting for. We have an IEP meeting because there's a need to look at the individual education program, plan, and make adjustments to that. Also, it's important to remember at this time of the year that you guys have last year's state test, because I do love a good state test, said no one. And that you also have a copy of what we're about to produce in schools, which is the BOY. What is a BOY? The beginning of year. So the beginning of the year levels in reading, beginning of the year levels in math, and then certainly you want to compare them to last year. I just had an IEP meeting, and a child came in at a grade 0.1, and she finished the year at a grade 0.2. We would not call that expected progress. So remember, we're going to compare last year's gains and kind of help build for that for this year. Questions. Yes, I do color my hair. Just the rebellious part, the bottom.
Excuse me. Is it okay for an intern to start out the year as the special education teacher?
So when you say intern, so when we look at special education, we have two kinds of special educators. Under IDEA, we have special educators and related service professionals. They would both be called special educators. So there are some interns under related and instructional services in the United States that would allow to be deliver that. But as special education teachers, you either are, say it with me, you either are a special education teacher and certified, or you are not. And so the law is very clear about that in 300.156, the OSEP letter from October 4th, 2022. And so those requirements, we just did a training on those requirements. So it's very important that you get that. When you sit down in an IEP meeting, I'm going to go through the direct, I'm going to go through everybody and say, okay, Travis Moses, is he a certified teacher in Wisconsin? Elena Thomas, is she a certified general ed teacher in Wisconsin? Rachel Modern, is she, the swimwear teacher for Wisconsin High School, right? I'm going to go through all of that. I was in a meeting today, I won't tell you where, it was at ISD, and I said, what is the paraprofessional's name? And somebody said, without missing a beat, that is confidential. I'm like, ma'am, this is not a trial. It's not confidential. She's a teacher teaching your child. We have the right to know her full name. So we just rattle off stuff that's not legal, and it's school-based members. I don't know who told them that. Somebody told them this somewhere at some PD or some seminar, but you need to get the full names of all the teachers this year teaching your children to see if they're, one, highly qualified teachers, which is a requirement, and if they're appropriate for the job position they were hired. Remember, your school might have hired a teacher for that position that they weren't qualified for. That's on the hiring team.
My son is starting first-time special education. What if the IEP is out of date? We did it in November.
So it's not out of date. IEPs are not like cheese. They last for a really long time. So they last for an instructional year. So let's say that your IEP started November 10th, 2024, then it would be good through November 9th, 2025. That's a good question, Cindy.
Yes. How long after the start of the school year should you expect accommodations to be used, like copies of notes, because they aren't being given?
So the IEP starts the first day. It starts the day the individual with a disability walks into the building. So there's no warm up, there's no lead up. So really important that when you go back to school, meet the teacher night, or you even just by email, you could say, hey, this is Mrs. Smith. My son has an IEP. Here's a copy of his IEP. This is how it impacts your classroom. But we often hear about school districts not providing teachers IEPs for days, sometimes, unfortunately, many weeks after school starts.
Excellent. I am a first-time special education para. Advice for me to make it a great year.
Don't remember your why. I think that's a goofy thing to say. Remember your who. The who is the child who is in need of your support. And we would just like to thank you. We love paras. We think paras are superstars. We should have, Para Appreciation Week. That should be the same week as Advocate Appreciation Week. We'll work on getting that. We're gonna call Dayspring and add that to their printing.
Oh, some people said, hey, we're just out here making sure you guys are okay, and I love your earrings.
Oh, thank you. They match the bracelet. The earrings have to match the bracelet, or people won't listen to you in an IEP meeting. Right, Travis? He's nodding. Yeah. You got to give them match and checkmate.
One of our favorites, can a non-SPED certified teacher be put in a SPED classroom?
They can be put in there. So you have to realize that there are school districts knowingly putting teachers at risk, knowingly putting paras at risk, knowingly putting other staff members at risk. You have to look online by law. The state education agency requires school districts to post the job and the job requirements. You either meet those requirements or you don't. And here's the deal. If you're being, hired by Yahoo Independent School District and you're not really sure, call the state education agency. And so for Texas, that would be 855-773-3839. And say, hi, I'm Cindy Luhu. I'm getting hired at Yahoo Independent School District. I'm not a special educator yet. They're putting me in a self-contained class to lead the whole class. Is that legal? And your state will tell you whether or not that's legal.
School starts in one day, and my kids are on comparable service plans from last May. They do not have an IEP yet. What do I do?
They're on comparable service plans. I don't know that I understand what that means, but if they are due an IEP, then you would call a meeting. We've been having, myself and my teammates have been having IEP meetings since the end of July. It feels like Labor Day already. Today we were in labor. No baby was born, but I was in labor with 3 different school districts.
School starts in 2 days, and our school has not assigned him a case manager. What can I do?
You could just call me. I'll assign them. I assign Mr. Smith to be his case manager. There you go. Hallelujah. So there has to be a case manager to oversee the delivery of the IEP. So, they do have till the day the doors open, but we certainly need that information.
Okay. I had the superintendent sit in on our 504 meeting, and she proceeded to tell me that because, hold on, got to scroll up, my son is a straight A student, he didn't really need an IEP help.
The phrase "doesn't really need" is not a phrase that we would participate in. Why would the superintendent be sitting in a 504 meeting? That smells fishy, and I don't like that smell. So bottom line is we look at the student's data, and is there an educational need? Is there a behavioral need, a communication need, a functional need, a sensory need, communication, social skills? You could be the valedictorian and need an IEP. You could have the worst grades in the school and not need an IEP. But he really doesn't is not a legal phrase that I would listen to or receive in an IEP meeting. The data two things you got to look at. Just two. Say it with me. 1, 2. What does the law say? What does the data show? That's it. Not your opinion. Or like at the meeting I sat in today. Well, this is where she's going. That's what they said. Well, this is where she's going. Like you're an exit on the freeway. Let's not do that. Let's not do that this year, okay? Let's make 2025 a good year for all bobcats.
If a para is listed on an IEP, but there is no para hired, what can or should I do?
There's not an educational need to list paras on an IEP. There's an educational need to list the special educators, the related service providers, the instructional service providers, general ed. But paras are support staff. Maybe they just have a bunch of special educators in there and they don't need paras.
Okay.
That's what I would say too. Okay.
How do we check those credentials to make sure they're certified again? I've heard this many times, but now it applies to me.
Yeah, so you would, most states have it readily available. There are a few states that don't. There are a few states that are still on dial-up. I won't mention them right now. But you would just email your state education agency, depending on where you live. It might be called the Department of Education. And just say, Rachel Thomas is my son's science teacher. I'm just trying to find out her certification for Wisconsin. And they will send you the link, easy peasy. But most states I can just sit in the meeting and look it up. You'd be so surprised when it says, no results found. Yeah. I guess those are those confidential people. They're listed confidentially. It's invisible. It's invisible ink on the state's website. If you're a certified teacher, I promise you, it is posted somewhere. And all of you amazing people that are educators and certified, I know that you know where your certification is.
Absolutely. Wait, phones, is this a state thing or a federal thing? How do I know if my child can use their phone? Are there differences between elementary, middle school, and high school?
It's going to be no. So this is, and we can get you this. So this is the Texas Education Agency guidance for House Bill 1481. So in Texas, we just passed this bill. In Texas, there's 5.5 million children who are not getting on the Wi-Fi today. Okay? So we're happy to send you this link. Just email us at advocate@specialeducationacademy.com. We'll get that. I think something like 17 states have passed it. So your state would have the actual statute, right? These are, education is a state issue. Education is not a federal issue. Special education is a federal issue, but education is a state issue. So they will have that guidance. And so for us, this guidance, when I say us, Texas, it started, the guidance, the bill started into effect July 31st, 2025. School districts in Texas have until the middle of September to have documentation on their own guidance. But again, if you don't have a medical need or an educational need to use your phone, then you will not be allowed to have it all out. Please don't tell your child to take it to the bathroom and use the bathroom stall. They're going to be on to you with that. And I won't read the whole thing here, but, not following this leads to disciplinary practices, which include being in school suspension. So we don't want that. Certainly if your child has a need, if Kat says, hey, I need to go to the office to call my parent, nobody's going to stop them for that. But if you'll email us, we'll get you the guidance for the Texas Education Agency, prohibition on student use of personal communication devices on school property during the school day. So, when Rachel's at the, the major practice at 5:45, that doesn't apply. We're talking about the impact that personal communication devices have had on the instructional day. But other states, just reach out to the Department of Education, you'll get that.
It's the beginning of the school year. What meetings should I be asking for my SPED kid?
None. You don't need to be asking for meetings. You already have an IEP that we put together last year. If for some reason, myself and my partners, we have a few kiddos that maybe they just moved, maybe they were just identified, but we call a meeting when there's a need. if you think things are not going well, I would wait at least a couple of weeks. Give them some time to get acclimated. Give them a chance to learn that Miss Thomas, when she raises her eyebrows, she's not playing around. You need to sit down, right? So, and plus you could have a meeting right now and things could be going really good. And that also isn't real data. You're just in the honeymoon phase. Remember the first couple of weeks, we just kind of a review. We kind of it's very easy. We get to work after Labor Day. So if there's an educational need, call an IEP meeting, but otherwise let everybody settle in.
Child find misplaced my 3-year-old's file from February. They just called me at the end of July. What should I do?
So child find is not a person or a place. So they misplaced your file, meaning your child hasn't been tested or they've been tested.
Good question.
If they haven't been tested yet, we need to go ahead and start that process, right? If they've been tested and we need to go ahead and convene a meeting to craft an IEP, then let's do that.
I got an IEP last November. However, so much has changed with my son. Should I recommend a review at this time?
Well, it depends on what's changed. So is there a need to change the program, IEP, Individualized Education Program? Is there something about the IEP that needs to be adjusted? Maybe he's reading way faster and you need to adjust the goals. Maybe he needs a different kind of support, stop a certain support. But unless you're wanting to change something in the actual document, you don't need to call a meeting.
Okay. I was told by my child's health plan advocate that I could get him help in school with tying his shoes. Is this true? I'm in Texas.
I've never heard of a health plan advocate, but there's a functional need for you to be able to tie your shoes because it's a safety issue because we walk in schools. I don't know that shoe tying, unless you're greatly impacted by your disability, you have a cognitive impairment, and you're in a self-contained class, rises to the level of being an IEP goal. I think that's something that, Miss B could help him with every day. But, certainly if he's further along in school and he's in a self-contained class, you could write an IEP goal for that. Oh, somebody said, Candace said advocates are the worst. I don't know. Maybe that's German for bratwurst. Maybe that's what she means. Advocates are amazing. Advocates speak up for people that don't have a voice.
If a student continues to harm themselves and others almost daily, what would you recommend that I can do to help this situation?
So if they're harming themselves and others, then they're probably not in the right setting.
My son's class got put in a super small classroom. What can I do?
Your son's class got put in a small classroom?
Yes, I guess the whole class was moved to a smaller classroom.
Is the smaller classroom bad?
That's a great
Yeah,
question.
we do something if what we're doing is not appropriate. So most parents would be asking for a smaller. Do you mean literally the classroom's smaller? There's not enough room for them? Is that what you mean?
I think that is what she means. And it is... I lost it. Maybe if we see it coming in at the bottom, we can ask.
Yeah.
Okay.
But schools have the right to move, there's no such thing as a special ed classroom. Special ed is not a location, it's a service. So if we are in, room 104 in the building this year, and next year we're in room 306, it still counts, right? Special education is a service. It's not a location. Also, we should remember that delayed special ed is still denied special ed. So let's make sure that we're not doing that this year.
Okay. Let's see. My son's teacher hasn't shown for work in 4 weeks. They will not move my child. There's 3 subs a day. Advice?
State complaint. He's being denied FAPE.
Excellent. We prepare to do, the IEP is to prepare for, I'm sorry, it keeps jumping. Let's see. Are there alternative assessments for a child to graduate high school? My son can't pass the SOL.
Yeah, so you graduate high school based on acquisition of credits. So there's a million ways that we can obtain that credit. So I would reach out to your state accountability department, because they're the ones that oversee credits and graduation. There should be somebody in charge of that at the state level, and ask them for that.
Andrea came in on the bottom. She said, yes, there is definitely not enough room for all the students.
Oh, well, then that would be a safety issue, a fire issue, right? There are requirements for humans in a building, so I would look into that. I would reach out to the district and see if there's a way that we can get those students in a safe classroom.
Okay. I asked for a draft of the IEP on July 31st, and I still haven't received it yet. His IEP is exactly in 1 week. How do I fix this?
Yeah, so we don't usually get the draft till a couple of days before. I wish we got it early, but I would just email the school and say, dear staff, we look forward to our meeting. We would need a full draft copy of the IEP, knowing that it's only a draft and all decisions are made in the meeting. Without the draft copy ahead of time, it's unlikely the parent will be able to make an informed decision, and we may have to reschedule.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Let's see. Can you please tell me again about the no phones?
Yeah, so the no phones in Texas, and it's in other states. So if it's in other states, y'all send it to us, and then we can get y'all those guidance as well. So it's House Bill 1481 for Texas. Prohibition, that sounds like a big word from was that the 30s or 40s? Prohibition. On student use of personal communication devices on school property during the school day. And here's the deal. That it's just going to be it. You're not going to have kids with personal communication devices during the school day. You can't pull it out at lunch. You can't pull it out in the bathroom. Don't try to, use it when nobody's looking, because somebody's going to tell somebody, and then you're going to have consequences that may include taking it away from them, charging them a fee, all the way up to in-school suspension. So I don't want that to happen for anybody's kiddo. But if you're interested...
My son's IEP has already been rescheduled twice. It was supposed to be done in May, and it's now August. How do I prevent this from happening again?
So, May and August is kind of tough, right? The end of the school year. All 3 of my meetings today were reconvenes from May, because the school year was over. So it does happen. So I would just try to, bear with them. And people get sick, staff members aren't available. So there's no point in us having an IEP meeting if, that is what's going on. But we certainly try to get it done as quickly as possible.
An advocate changed my son's life. I want to become an advocate now that he seems to be set. How do I do that?
So we have a 2-day live virtual coming up. Everybody say, woo! During football season, September, I don't know, one of my fine people will put it on a post-it note in September. And then we have the mastermind right after that. So we'll have a live 2-day virtual September, I want to say 27th, 28th, something like that weekend. And then we have one final group mastermind after that. So we have 8 million children in America with an IEP. Every one of them needs support, plus all the kiddos on a 504, plus all the kiddos that have never been identified yet. And yes, a special education parent, a special educator, anybody can become an advocate. And usually, you're serving the person that you once were. And so we would be happy and honored to train you. We don't give you a year's worth of training. We don't make you do 6 months of continuum. We don't make you turn in paperwork later. We train you so you can get out there and get after serving kids at the highest level.
And thank you for not making us do that.
Yes.
If you said the aggressive student might be in the wrong placement, what do we do if the district disagrees? How do we handle this?
Well, first of all, if we're not all safe, no one's learning. So, I am, I have one speed, 100. So if there's no safety in the classroom, nobody's learning. So I would give the district a few moments to figure that out. Otherwise, I would file a state complaint. You're denying him FAPE. You're denying everybody an educational benefit.
What are the consequences of having accommodations that a student doesn't use on an IEP?
Consequences? I mean, there's no consequence, but accommodations are supposed to be measured and progress monitored. So, and we use them routinely and effectively. So if we're not using them routinely and effectively, we need to capture that and then convene a meeting to look at pruning them or adjusting them. I'm a big fan of pruning, except for my hairdo. Do not want to make it smaller. I want it to make it bigger.
What if my son needs a less restrictive environment based on an IEP from last year? Most of his goals met in the EI.
Okay, well, that's good. So if he's met the goals, it doesn't necessarily mean we change his placement, right? So when a student meets their goals, what we do as a team is we write more rigorous goals to address his needs. If he's met his needs and he no longer needs the support and no longer needs a goal, then we would look at change of placement.
What are the laws around adding or removing IEP minutes through an IEP amendment?
So an IEP amendment, as long as all consensus members agree to it, is fine. So if Stephanie decides, that Billy no longer needs to be in dyslexia, and we agree with that, by conversation, by email or phone, and all parties are in agreement, there's no need to, continue that. So let me adjust that. So 2 times that you must have an actual IEP meeting. So let me rewind that a little bit. So if you're going to adjust minutes, or you're going to add or remove an eligibility, you're going to adjust minutes or you're going to add or remove an eligibility, then you actually have to have an IEP meeting. But there's a million other things that we could just say, hey, we're going to add on, transportation. We're going to add on the AU supplement. We're going to add on a BIP. We're going to add accommodations. We're going to remove the 3rd math goal. All those things can be done by amendment if they do not include an eligibility or minutes.
Here's a fabulous question. Can a special education parent become an advocate?
They're the best advocates. They are the best advocates. Yeah. We want special education advocates that like children, that are understanding that this process is hard but unbelievably fruitful, and can keep it about the child and not make it personal.
How many years of experience do I need as a special education teacher to become an advocate?
None. I have 0 years as being a teacher. You don't need to be something to be a special education advocate. It's a field of choice, right? There's no other field that you have to be something first before you can be something else. It's not like that. So if you love children, if this is a passion of yours, if you want kids with exceptionalities to be served correctly at schools and you want to support the families walking through that and the school-based members, then becoming a special education advocate might be right for you.
My son had sped transportation on his IEP, but they took that away. Now he will be in kindergarten. Can I get it back?
So when I hear people say they took it away, we're the they. So I don't know who they is. The parent is equal members. So unless you were denied equal team membership, you had a meeting about that. As it relates to special education transportation, there has to be an educational need. So again, without this thing, whatever that educational need is, he won't benefit from access to the general ed curriculum. So if he has emotional needs, he has cognitive differences, he has functional needs, he might be eligible for ESY. ESY, transportation. Is it Monday? Or is it Monday? It's like Monday on steroids.
Ruth, I'm from California, and my son's old school was discriminating him for his autism. What can I do about this?
Yeah, so when you say discriminating, I would just need more clarity. So what kind of discrimination?
Can a school have an ABU teacher who can't restrain students due to neck fusion be held responsible?
So if you're working with students that have behavioral needs, you would need to be able to enforce any behavioral intervention. So if part of that ends up being, an appropriate restraint and you're not able to do that, I would say currently at this time you're not qualified for the position.
What is the difference between a 504 and an IEP? My son is on a 504 in Texas, and they keep saying he might need an IEP.
Yeah, so a 504 is a Rehabilitation Act of 1973. It's a law passed that individuals with disabilities cannot be discriminated against after their identified disability and being denied accommodations. So that's at a school, that's in college, that's in your job. And so it's a plan of accommodations. That's it. It's not a plan of education. It's not a plan of mitigating. It's not a plan of measuring. So I'm not a fan of that as it relates to students with disabilities in school. An IEP is an individualized education plan for kids that have an exceptionality or disability, which includes present levels, defining their needs, annual goals, accommodations, and a service plan.
Does it make sense to be trained as an advocate just to better advocate for my own personal child?
Oh, absolutely. However you sit at the IEP table, including myself, we all need more training because believe me, every meeting is different. And if you think that these school-based members have been trained annually in their special education obligations, duties, and responsibilities, you would be mistaken. Special education staff members are amazing, but they're not trained annually on IDEA. They're not trained on 504. They're not trained on ADA. They're not trained on a million things. We don't give enough training to teachers in special education, and so the more that you could learn about that, the better the outcomes are going to be for students at the meetings.
I heard a similar question. Here's mine. How many times can the district postpone my son's IEP? It has been twice, and it looks like a third time is coming.
I mean, again, there's extenuating circumstances. I would reach out to the special education director if you think it's purposeful and see if you can get that rectified.
Are special education advocates paid or are they volunteers?
So they volunteers. So there are a few advocates that volunteer. We don't do that. Our team members don't do that. We are paid. We're an hourly service. Just as if you hire another consultant or professional. But you're representing families at the highest level. And their pay range it varies based upon years of experience and efficacy.
What is the ratio for students per teacher in special education? I know there is no law, but I'm just curious.
Well, there's no law. So no law is no law. So it just depends. It depends on what? Their unique circumstances. I could have 20 kids in my class and be the only special education teacher, and they could all have dyslexia. That may be manageable, right? And I might have a kiddo that has severe behavior needs, and we need 3 adults to 1 student. It depends on the student.
What state are you in, and do you help all children in all states?
All children, all states, all the time. I'm in the great state of Texas.
Let's see. Scroll up here. Is it a violation of FAPE if the school has denied materials for independent living skills?
If it's part of his IEP and an important component of the IEP was denied, a material part of the IEP, you've denied him FAPE based upon how the IEP was codified. So yes.
Can a SPED director change a decision on a placement that was decided on by an IEP team at the meeting?
And if you're not a team member, you have no bearing on outcomes. Was that a chortle?
That was a chortle. Thank you. That's a great vocabulary word on a Monday.
On an August Monday.
On an August Monday, and it might be the first day of school for some people.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see.
Was it the first day of school for Mikey?
It was the first day.
Did he have a great day?
He had a wonderful day.
Oh, that's so good.
He ran away very quickly, so he didn't have to get back in the car just in case Mommy wanted to take him home.
Yes.
Can a SPED student be required to keep an 80 average for extracurricular activities?
What? Nobody should. Your average is not attached to extracurricular activities, but certainly not. I mean, we don't. You know what I would say to that?
Oh, my apologies, Caitlin. I didn't realize that was a question. I'll read it now. I'm thinking of a step up from 8 to 1 to 2 IEP. It's a less restrictive environment. My son does very well in a neurotypical setting. Would that be a reason for a meeting?
So when you say I'm thinking of a step up, I'm not really sure what you mean. So we don't use words like step up or ratios. We talk about his educational needs. So is it more appropriate for him to be removed from this setting into another setting? Would he make more gains? Whatever direction that is, then that's when we have that conversation.
And that would be Caitlin with a C in case it comes up.
And I also just want to say, we have lots of settings with neurotypical children, which I really caution people on saying that. I don't know anybody that's neurotypical. I mean, it sounds good. We have lots of general ed students that don't make it a good setting for other kids. So I sometimes be very careful what we're asking for.
Can you work on an EP in a life skills classroom?
What's an EP?
Educational plan.
So educational plan is not a legal word. So do you mean an IEP?
Good question.
If you're in life skills, you're already on an IEP. So I don't know what EP means. Extended play from the 90s.
So I provided special education advocacies for 30 years. How could I become a paid advocate?
Oh, we would train you. It's the most rewarding vocation. I was with one of my partners this weekend out of state. We were in a public setting. And this lady walked up to me and she said, I've been following you. Oh, I get that a lot. And she said, I just want you to know I'm an advocate, but I don't advocate like you do. That's what she said. And she just described a different model. So I asked her, I said, do you like our content? She goes, oh, yeah. Okay. It's great when people are following you around places. I like it. Picasso.
And we've literally seen them follow you around.
Yeah. And wait, she had on Lily Pulitzer. So, I'm down with that. I had on Lily. She had on Lily. We're both advocates. She goes in the sun. I do not. But other than that, we were very much alike. And yes, teachers and parents become the best advocates. Teachers, administrators, evaluators who want to shift their vocation, you already have so much training in you. So,
what if you were a special needs parent and a special education teacher? Could you then become a special education advocate?
I've had those people, and they have spicy words to describe me when they first see me online, but then they become loyal. Yeah. Yes, they're the best. They're the best.
Yes, and here's another one. How do I become one of your team members? I'm retiring. I'm an EC parent and a teacher with an education degree and also a school administration. I want to work for the other side.
Come on down. You're the next contestant on Let's Get Ready to Rumble. Not really. We're not ready to rumble. We're just ready to get it right for the child. So come to our live virtual September 27th and 28th. So you can log on from a beach, a balcony, a bathtub. If you are in the bathtub, we would ask you to keep your screen off. #Rachel. And then we will have the mastermind start right after that. But yeah, we're ready to trainin' for rainin'.
My child's school enrolled him in a regular education classroom. The office staff didn't check his paperwork. Now what do I do?
Surprise! That's what I would say. I would say, well, let's get that right so he has a successful school year. Immediately.
The district does not have a high school.
What?
There are no...
What? Wait. That's not a thing. Are we talking about Mars? Are we talking about Antarctica? What are we talking about? You just graduate on 8th grade? Like we just get you out there in the workforce. As soon as you get some, your molars, your 12-year molars come in, you're out of here? What do you mean your district doesn't have a high school? It's the law that every district has a preschool, elementary, and secondary. So I know what you're talking about.
So no neighboring districts can take them, and they're proposing online.
There's no such thing as a district that doesn't have a high school. So you need to call your state education agency. Where do you live, loved one? Please tell me where you live.
Let's see.
Yes, some districts send kids to other districts, but there's a high school available, yeah.
What age does a school in Texas have to admit a child with autism who is nonverbal?
What age? So he might meet eligibility as early as his 3rd birthday.
How would I word adding sweatpants to my son's IEP so he doesn't get in trouble for wearing them?
So I would assume there's something at your school that prevents him from wearing sweatpants. So if there's an educational need, like if there are kiddos that would flip out if you had to button pants or a belt that would feel uncomfortable to them. So again, if there's an educational need, we can add it to the IEP. I live for a sweatpant. I just don't want to actually, I don't want to actually sweat. I just like the pant. I like workout pants. I don't work out, but I have them in case, I'm dropped off. Instead of at Talbot's, they drop me off at a workout place. I'll be ready.
Because you do get a workout when you're in Talbot's.
I just want to say, I haven't gotten, hold on, Cindy. Talbot's, I do not get a Talbot's workout from the spring till August because it's all, linen and short sleeve. Well, nobody's going to see that. So I'm ready to bring on the wool. Yeah. Like tonight, it's August. And what am I wearing? Wool. That's what Rachel's wearing. Elena's wearing wool pants. Yeah. Travis is wearing knee-high socks. It's cold. It's 77 degrees in here. You got to keep warm.
And certainly, if you did sweat, it wouldn't be sweat. It would be glistening.
No, it's sweat. It's sweat.
I have a senior. Do her accommodations go into college with her? What do I do?
Yes, no paperwork goes with you into college because high school is something you complete and then you start your next journey. So whether you're in vocational school, trade school, or employment, I'd reach out to the disability office and say these are the accommodations that I need to be successful in this setting.
My son was being excluded from school events and said he can't attend the general ed because he can't read. What do I do?
I would say, what the Hello Kitty are you talking about? So we do what the law says and the data shows, but because he can't read doesn't mean he can't be in a general ed setting. So we would make sure that we write an IEP. We've identified his exceptionalities or disabilities. We have targeted goals on his deficits. And then, we look at what's right for him. Somebody just said, do I have any input on Irving ISD? I don't. What's going on in Irving? Tell me.
We need to know.
We need to. We are always on a need to know basis.
Yes. My school district is waiting until an incident occurs to address things instead of preventing them. What can I do about this?
Stop it. So, if you think an incident is going to occur, something really important that I put in a child's IEP today is when you have this section in the IEP that speaks about the student code of conduct. For a student today, I had them put under the student code of conduct that, of course, the student is subject to the student code of conduct with the modifications, knowing that he has a pattern of behaviors that impede his learning and learning of others, and he has a BIP that must be followed. Thanks, you guys, for the gifts.
What class did you say was happening in September? And give me the dates again, please.
Sure. So September 27th and 28th, we will have a live virtual. It'll be virtual and it'll be live. It's a combo pack. So that's our 2-day epic IEP intensive. And then we will start our mastermind like a week later in October, which will be fantastico. All the mastermind smarty pants that we've trained are amazing. You actually, we will order you a pair of smarty pants afterwards. You'll have to purchase them yourself, but you can just walk around in them. What are those? Those are mastermind smarty pants. They come way up under your armpits, but people know. You're no joke. Cindy, this is serious. This is serious. There's no joking around special ed. Do you ever guys get in a really intense meeting and you say something funny and somebody gets really mad? I love that.
Totally derailed.
Yeah. And we'll go a little bit longer since we, logged off 18 times. So we can go till 55.
It was 21 times, but
it's not me. It's us. I just want to say that it was all of us. The only person that wasn't culpable is Travis.
What comes after the 2-day intensive? I'm doing that on demand now.
Okay. So we have a mastermind that starts in Stephanie will hold up the first date, but I think I want to say it starts October 1st. I want to say that. And it's 6 3-hour sessions. It's ridiculously amazing. So I'm still in Texas. I'm in Houston, and I collect salt and pepper shakers. So if you would like to send me some salt and pepper shakers, I would receive them. I got salt and pepper shakers this week from one of my clients from South Africa and from Apopka. People in Apopka are the best. October 1st is the first day of the mastermind. The 2-day intensive is a prerequisite. You have to take the 2-day because we do not talk about the 2-day in the mastermind. The video is reposted. You can watch it in your hand in an app called Special Education Academy. So if you guys just jump in your car right now, drive over to the app store and download Special Education Academy. All of our YouTube content comes out every day on that.
I've been watching the podcast. More, please.
Oh, thank you.
How does a student with modified TEKS being put in advanced placement classwork?
So you don't modify a TEK. A TEK is a TEK. So the TEK is the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills, the TEKS. So those are state standards. State standards don't change. You might modify the learner expectations. I am really cautious on having a child with a disability in advanced classes, which we talk about at length in the 2-day. So let's really consider that before we do it.
How can I get more information about your trainings and the cost?
So all the information is on specialeducationacademy.com.
Can I be a teacher and an advocate at the same time?
So everybody that's at the IEP table already is an advocate. You're already advocating for the student with a disability, but yes, you can become a trained superstar advocate.
Excellent. Someone said, it's the most rewarding yet being a teacher of special needs. Advocating has got to be awesome.
It is awesome. I had a teacher that I trained to be a special education advocate. And at her first IEP meeting, I started advocating for her child. She jumped up and hurled in the kitchen sink. And then she came back and she goes, I feel much better. You know why? Because she was fighting the school for 2 decades. And now she was finally equipped with all of her knowledge from being a ridiculously amazing teacher and the knowledge from how to deliver the letter, the spirit, and the importance of the law for kiddos to win. So...
Can the school recommend a classroom setting change for a more integrated setting?
So we use lots of fancy words. It is, what is his LRE? What's the least restrictive environment? So we're going to look at his goals and we're going to say, hey, he has this goal in reading. What would be the least restrictive environment to work on that IEP goal? Would that be in gen ed with Ms. Thomas? Would that be in special ed with Ms. Barnett? What's the most? And you do it by content area.
What makes me laugh? I use your content in my IEP meetings all the time just to beep my district off.
Oh, I want, the reason we put this content out here is so that you can have it. It doesn't benefit me to have it. It doesn't benefit my partners for them to have it. That's why we put out 52 pieces of content across 7 platforms every day. And we will take it for the whiners, because whiners are not winners. But we want to equip the saints who are serving kiddos. So we are super glad to hear that. I am in professional developments that I don't even know about. They just play my videos, which is fine. That's the point. Nobody keeping the information you have to yourself is selfish. So we want you to be equipped.
I'm not sure how much I should pay an advocate. They are various, ranging in prices. How do I know if I have a good one and what I should be paying?
So you'll know if you have a good one if you guys have the same mission, right? There's sometimes clients we don't take because we don't have the same mission. So my partners are required to follow the letter of the law. There's no exceptions or exemptions. And then based upon what we believe is right for kiddos, we serve families, we serve kids, and we serve teams at the highest level. So first you need to find somebody that understands the law, how to negotiate. Do I know the law? Yes. I think my better skill is that I'm a very good negotiator, right? So it's not about, hey, Travis, 3 513 says this. That doesn't get it done at a meeting. You have to learn to how to work with people, how to be a good communicator, how to interact, when to stop, when to step out of a meeting, when to pivot and call somebody else. All of these pieces, without that, you're just somebody holding, a law book, right? And so that's really what we teach, and that's what makes really good advocates. As far as pay range, there are advocates that are paid as much as attorneys. And so depending on what level of support you need, you might need to invest in a higher, more successful, more efficient advocate.
Is it true that accommodations should be trialed before adding them to an IEP?
I mean, I don't have a problem with trialing accommodations, right? If Miss Barnett is going to get a hard copy of notes to Jack, and then it just becomes Jack's like messing with the paper and he wads it up, well, then that wasn't the benefit of the accommodation. So I don't have any problem with that.
Can a school recommend a classroom change, or does it have to go through a board or committee?
I'm bored. Like a 2x4. So a school is half of the IEP team. All decisions by the IEP team are made by the team. Parents are 50% of that team. So once we've convened, all members show all data that support the recommendation you're about to make, we should be able to come to consensus and make those changes. I'm gonna make a change. Sorry, does the music ever hit you? Wouldn't that be great if you could just start singing during IEP meetings? Like the song that I want to sing during IEP meetings is Thunderstruck. Do you think that's too much? Do you think that, like at the end, you've been? No, that's too much, right? It's too much? Okay, yeah. Elena's like, yeah, that's too much. Yeah, yeah. Have you ever had that? Have you ever been in an IEP meeting? I was in an IEP meeting with a senior employee, and she had the most inappropriate, fun club music on her phone, and it went off, and we were like, and she just couldn't get it out of her packet book quick enough to turn it down. I was like, ma'am, you get it, girl. Yeah. Have y'all ever seen that? Yeah. Like, I don't know who put that sound on my phone. Must have been my grandson.
If a student has an evaluation and they are too low for SLD, but too high for ID, what then?
Oh, I want to say something funny, but I'm not going to. Too low, too high. Guess what? We don't educate. The law says we are charged with writing an IEP to enable the student to make progress in light of their circumstances. Didn't say low, high, medium, moderate, severe. Ugh, I hate all those words. What are his circumstances that require specially designed instruction that couldn't solely be delivered by a general educator?
Is 20 kids in a CCK placement too much?
I don't know what CCK stands for, love. Country Club Karen? Is that what that stands for? Or BK, Barbie Karen?
It possibly.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, no, that is a duplicate.
Or we would say in Mexico, duplicado.
Can they hold back a child if they are years behind their peers academically?
So we keep talking about can they. There is no they. It's us. So retention is an administrative issue, but certainly if you're many years behind, that retention is not going to mitigate that. So
how can I refer back to the answers from these lives? There's some really good questions and answers.
I would download the app, Special Education Academy, and then I would use a recording app like otter.ai. They should pay me. And then let that record, and then you'll have a transcript, and you can just start your book of Karen-isms. It's a very large book. It sits on your coffee table.
And it doesn't even collect dust.
That's right, because you bust it open.
Correct. My child just changed schools, and I haven't heard from anyone about his IEP. Should I do something?
So when you say changes schools, you mean change campus in the district, or you move from, Wisconsin to Amarillo? If you're moving campuses in the district, nobody should be contacting you.
Hang on, a lot of duplicates here. Oh, never mind.
Oh. Why the French fries? Is that what you're about to say?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why do they shove special education kids in life skills if they should clearly be in resource? Explain this to me. Make it make sense.
Money. So resource is the most expensive setting almost always in a school district, but it's a requirement under 300.115. 300.115. So we're going to implement it, and we're going to get the kids in the right settings. I don't like shoving children anywhere, but there is some shoving, isn't there?
Mainly into the bathtub in this house, but you know. Is there a placement agency for special needs adults for my day hab?
So you would connect with, at the state level, the Workforce Commission. There are many agencies at state levels that help individuals with intellectual disabilities, developmental disabilities. In Texas, in Houston, we have an entity called the Harris Center, which is in Harris County, and it serves adults with cognitive differences, functional differences, intellectual differences. So there's several agencies at the state level that can get those resources. And then some cities, I used to sit on the mayor's office for disabilities, the commissioner for people with disabilities. So that might be an entity at the city level as well.
Okay. Just had meet the teacher. They said we decided he will be in life skills full time. No ARD meeting, nada. What do I do?
You ain't we. You ain't we. So we are an IEP committee in Texas called an ARD committee, admission, review, and dismissal. I would send an email tonight and say I'm concerned that you feel so comfortable violating my procedural rights. But we look forward to having a convened IEP meeting with all the appropriate members to talk about educational needs of my child. Heavy on the D at the end. They can't hear it, but it's silent. When you're typing, you just, Elena does it. Child, D. Yeah.
And here could be our last question. How would you describe in-home training services, and how would you apply those services?
Oh, I think they're amazing. So in-home training is a service that you get after an evaluation. So you would meet with the committee and say, we need to open up a reevaluation of existing educational data. We would like an in-home training evaluation. And then those persons come into the evaluation. In-home training is to see if a child has a skill, but we're not generalizing it from home to school or back and forth. And so that's why we have in-home training. I love it.
Excellent. It is 6:55.
Okay, we'll take one more question
One more question.
Yeah.
My daughter didn't get her minutes last year. Her makeup minutes last year. Can they make them up this year?
Yeah, we're making up. We're all about making up.
I just have to read this one. It's great. He said, your Smarty Pants could collect a lot of stuff.
They could. Yes, we'll put that on our website. You can order. They'll probably polyester. They'll have a elastic waistband. So Smarty Pants. Yes. All right. We love you guys. If you need anything, let us know. Remember, when you get it right for the child, we'll get it right for everybody. Download Special Education Academy app. Download Special Education Academy app. If you have a question about anything, or we can serve you, or you need representation or support or filing, you can email our team at advocate@specialeducationacademy.com. We will see you guys in the next training. Hit subscribe, share this with a friend, and you know what? Meet me back here every single week. We're not just talking about change, we're making it. Because when you know better, you do better. And when we get it right for the child, we get it right for everybody.